Hi, we are live on Schema TV now. We are broadcasting online from Istanbul, and I'm Alp Osmanoğlu. This is the first live broadcast of Schema TV. I hope you enjoy it. Wendy Behary will be answering our questions about the angry modes, but before I say hi to her, I want to introduce Wendy to you. She is the founder and director of Cognitive Therapy Center of New Jersey and Institute for Schema Therapy. She has been treating clients, training professionals, and supervising psychotherapists for more than 20 years. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Al.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. This is very exciting. This is the first program of Schema TV.
Yeah.
And I'm so delighted to be here with you. So we're gonna make our way through all of the first little potential wrinkles or challenges.
Yeah. Hopefully, because there's a storm here. Sometimes we lose your view, but I think in a second, yes, now we are okay. We were together brainstorming about how to reconnect again during the biannual meetings. So maybe this will be another chance for us to reconnect more often. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, and thank you very much for joining our first program, which we produced together. And today our subject is angry modes. So, why do you think it is important to talk about angry modes? What are those? What do we do then with them?
My work is primarily with narcissists, you know, and some of the people watching and listening know. Last year when I was at Istanbul conference, my colleague and I, John Gashevsky and I, we had written a paper on anger modes and presented a half-day workshop about this, because thinking about the other types of patients that can activate our own schemas in the treatment room and our own schema modes, making it very difficult to be effective at working with patients when they're in angry modes. And the problem with not being able to differentiate them is that we sometimes miss the important need that has been unmet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we want to get rid of them mostly if you are not experienced, because when I listen some speeches at the congresses about borderline psychotherapy, especially if they're psychiatrists, they all talk with not in a not nice manner. I can say that much, because anger is not a very nice feeling that we want to be together in the same room. So when talking about narcissistic patients, especially, and if we want to treat them at the same time, I think it's very common to face that feeling in the therapy room.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the angry modes, you know, we know in schema therapy, since our model is so beautifully, you know, emerges from this idea of unmet needs. And so if you're setting limits too quickly on anger because you're uncomfortable with anger, and you know, we're fairly conditioned as humans to be uncomfortable in the face of anger. That's not unusual. If that happens in the treatment room, you're uncomfortable with anger, and the anger is coming from an angry patient who for the first time has the opportunity to feel safe enough to express a need, you know, frustration, even being angry at you, the therapist. And if we shut that down too quickly, then we're basically doing maybe exactly what was done to them as a child, and so we're not meeting the need. You know, we're setting a limit, and that's appropriate with narcissists at times, you know, when they're in their overcompensating bullying modes. But it can be very harmful to someone who's in a fragile, angry child mode, where the need is to just be able to express and ventilate the anger, and then, you know, we help them to link it to where it's coming.
So it's a very difficult situation, and because we believe that anger always comes after vulnerability, but we want to put limits also at the same time to the anger, So I think with this storm we have some problems with the connection, but probably it will come again, the connection. It will re-establish in a second. I hope you hear me.
I can hear you fine now.
Okay. Your wave sometimes goes. So what's your technique? What do you teach to your supervisees at how to deal with them? What shall we do at first? How can we behave to them?
Well, it's really two things that we need to do. One of them, and probably the most important one, is really to get very clear about what it is that happens inside of us when anger is present. So take a look at our schemas and modes and what our typical impulse is, our impulse to go into maybe a maladaptive coping mode or survival mode if we feel threatened. So I think it's two things. We need to know well enough what's getting triggered inside of us. And we can do that more effectively if we listen really carefully to the anger that's coming out. Is it the anger that sounds like a helpless victim, like a little child who feels helpless and powerless and you know, kind of like, I hate you, you know, you're mean to me, I don't like you, you don't care about me. You hear a me, right? There's a me in those statements, and you hear the vulnerability, even though there may be a lot of anger around the words. If you're listening to an angry adolescent, you'll often hear like a rebellious teenager. It's not fair, you know. I know what I'm doing. Don't tell me what to do. And they can be a little bit bullying too, right? And trying to maintain some control and autonomy. Anger of overcompensating adults, like narcissists, for example, it isn't sometimes it's loud. Sometimes it's just critical. So the anger and the frustration may be there, but it's not always as loud. It's not always as aggressive. So anger also, like many of the different, whether it's personality disorders or symptoms that we think about, it happens on a spectrum, right? From something that might be not so severe to something that might be very severe and very intense. But I think if we're listening carefully and we can hear the vulnerability of a little child who's angry and helpless and maybe, again, for the first time, able to say so to you because you're the safest person they have who can help them make sense out of this, then we want to embrace it. You know, we're all accustomed to Jeffrey Young when he tell them, I'm okay with your anger. It's all right for you to be angry. Tell me more about what's making you angry. And then you can quickly link it by even saying things like, I wonder who in your life you ever could have been this angry with. Who could you have shared this with? Who could you have told? Who could you have expressed this to? And very often the patient says, no one. There was no one to get angry. I don't know. I imagine if I got frustrated, everyone would, you know, get mad at me, or my parents would punish me, or my mother would hit me, or my father would ignore me. So, you know, we often get the information very quickly, and it's like squeezing the sponge, you know, really allowing them to drain the pain and have someone sit safely and help them hold that pain and make sense out of that pain. And then, you know, we know what happens after all the frustration comes through. Then you see the vulnerability and sadness.
Wendy, we have some here still storm problems here, I think. Can I ask you to change your camera settings again 3 to 4?
Okay.
Because it's now high definition setting. Okay, now this is my desktop. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. This is 3 to 4? This setting?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe this will help. So you say first, I'm thinking this channel as a supervision channel of myself. So it's really helping. First you say squeeze it as a sponge and let the all anger come out.
Yes,
and
when
then,
it's an angry child.
Yeah, when it's an angry child mode. Why it is important to make this distinction between angry protector, angry child, or angry something else?
It's the need, right? We think about the need like a navigator. You know, it's like your GPS, and it helps us to remember where we're going, what the goal is. So if I'm working with a narcissist, very often the goal is they have to learn limits. They need to learn how to be frustrated and how to tolerate frustration and not always having their way and waiting their turn. And they get angry because they always want what they want when they want it, you know, and they feel that they're entitled and special. And so the need is the limit. The need is learning to tolerate the frustration. The need is the give and take and the ordinary and being like everyone else. And so we set a limit. When the anger comes up and they act entitled, like, what do you mean I'm only having, you know, a shorter session today when I was late? I'm supposed to get a full session. And we set that limit because it's necessary for them to begin to learn how to live in the world, something they weren't prepared to do. And so, you know, I might say to them, you know, please don't speak to me that way. That's disrespectful. If you're upset, you are welcome to tell me about it, but you can't disrespect me. You know, you can't take away my rights to feel comfortable and secure in this space. I know you're used to doing that with other people in your job. I know you're used to doing that and getting away with that with others. I know you were taught that you could say whatever you want and it was fine as long as you were a good achiever. That's not how it works in the world, and that's why you're having problems. And you can't do that with me because I have rights too. So I understand you're upset and you can tell me about that, but you can't yell at me and you can't be critical of me in the way that you're doing.
Yeah, okay. The link has some problem, but in 2 seconds it will be okay again, I think. Yes, here it is. Okay, we lost the last 3 sentences probably, Wendy. Can you, if possible, yeah.
Shall I repeat that last part out?
Yeah, but last 3 minutes probably. You were limiting the patient, client. You can't just let it out. You have to have some limits.
Yes. Because it's the need. So again, it's asking yourself, what would a good parent, what would a good caregiver do if this were my child, you know, with this kind of anger? And so I'm asking the adult to be responsible for their frustration and to dig down a little deeper and talk to me from a place of either the adult.
Okay, I think we have another connection problem now. Yes, and we are again. Okay, so how can you differentiate these differences between modes, and how do you recognize them? What's the difference between angers?
Well, you know, as I said, I think that it has to do with the listening. So we have angry child mode, right? And we listen for the vulnerability of the child who's frustrated, or the very young child. We have the angry, overcompensating adult. We have, in that category, there's also control and bullying and threatening, and sometimes even aggression. And we have the defiantly angry protector. You know, I'm not going to do your stupid imagery work. That type of behavior. We have the punitive and angry critical parent that sometimes is internalized, coming through and attacking the patient right in front of us. We can hear them yelling at themselves, getting angry with themselves, punishing themselves, calling themselves names, and sometimes turning that outward towards a partner or towards the therapist. So it's important to figure out which one, because we know what to do with a punitive parent. We know what to do with a little child that needs to vent their frustration and get to their vulnerability. We know that with a narcissist, we have to set limits and teach them about tolerating frustration, respecting other people's rights. We know that the angry protector is getting in the way of our access to the vulnerable child. It's like a very, very fierce wall. we posture ourselves, the language that we use in trying to deal with these modes. But we can't do any of that if we're triggered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we're uncomfortable with anger,
Mm-hmm.
then therapists will tend to either ignore it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or confront it too harshly
Mm-hmm.
or just set a limit on it.
Yeah, I think it's
Or give into it, just give into it and give the patient what they're asking for, and then we feel resentful later.
yeah. So sometimes if it's bullying and if we think that it's vulnerable child, then maybe we at the end we are overwhelmed, I think. So distinction is really important, because if it's angry overcompensator, we have to set limits. But
Yes.
if it's a angry child, now we can emphasize with the vulnerable child. Yeah. And how are you coping with angry protector? It's a really interesting mode.
Yeah, it is a really interesting mode because I think it sort of brings together the detached protector, which is trying to keep us away from all of those painful emotions,
Okay.
trying to help the patient to stay disconnected. And it's just a very strong one. So it brings with it sometimes temperament. The biological temperament of the patient might be that, you know, they go to anger. It might be coming from, again, an angry or very forceful parent that just gets blended with the detached protector. It could be that the overcompensating mode and the detached mode, they merge together strongly. So you have this controller that's
Okay.
can be very, you know, can be very, very hard to work with because the therapist gets so triggered
Yeah.
when the angry protector is present.
Okay. Okay. It's very unlucky that we are having a storm here, but I think we can delete at the
I
distorted
wonder if
parts.
the problem, Al, I wonder if everyone is having trouble here, because I hear you fine from here.
Oh yeah.
I've had no interruption in hearing you, so I don't know if that would be true for other people who are listening in or
Yeah.
watching.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see at the end.
See.
Yeah. And how do we conceptualize unmet needs when assessing anger modes?
Well, you know, in schema therapy or in schema theory, we recognize anger, the angry, frustrated, or you know, agitated child as just being natural. Anger is, we're all kind of born with the capacity to express anger and frustration when we don't have other capacities to express what we need.
Yeah.
When we're uncomfortable, when we're tired, when we're hungry, when we have pain. Children are naturally aggressive at a certain stage in their early life. It's natural for them to assert their, you know, frustration and even to hit other children and to throw things and to bite. And so there's sort of natural forms of aggression that come with being human. So we know that that's a natural part of our development. And what happens to us when we express anger can say a lot about what happens to the need, you know, the need to express itself and the way we feel about ourselves. Anger also, you know, can be that, I sometimes call it that, and I think many people will refer to it as that secondary emotion. It's the second emotion that comes after feeling cheated or feeling like you've been blamed or feeling like it's not fair, and then you become angry. And the problem with it, as I often say to narcissistic clients, is it's a bad messenger. So the anger is a real emotion, but it's a very bad messenger because it doesn't say, I'm hurt and I feel badly that you're talking to me like that. It says, you know, I'll show you and you're stupid and I'm tired of this. It doesn't really express the feelings underneath that are most meaningful, or the need that they're having. Like, I need to feel appreciated. I need to feel recognized. I need to feel like someone understands that I'm scared. They don't say that. They'll say, you know, this is stupid, and I don't think you're very smart, and do you know what you're doing? Right? They may say it in a very nasty, angry way, or just in a very critical way. But the frustration that they're feeling because they're uncomfortable and frightened quickly becomes anger, because anger feels stronger in the body. You know, we feel strong for those moments, and then we feel usually exhausted because it takes a lot of energy
Mm-hmm.
to hold
Mm-hmm.
the anger up.
Yeah, I think, as you said before in other workshops, it's also related with primitive biosocial survival system.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and the strongest part is related with that, I think, to cope
Yes.
with the environment. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's, as you say, it's really bad messenger.
Yeah, and I sometimes will say to patients, you know, it's so sad because you have a lot of important feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of important messages that you'd like to deliver to your partner,
Mm-hmm.
your friend, to your child, even maybe to me, the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to tell me that you're tired. You're trying to tell me that you're afraid. You're trying to tell me that you don't understand
Mm-hmm.
how this is going to be helpful to you. But instead of telling me, you point your finger at me and you yell at me that this is ridiculous and I'm not doing this, and it, you know, it's her fault, and my wife is crazy, or my husband is, you know, it's all him, and it's the stupid people I work with. And so instead of expressing, you know, the fear and the perhaps maybe even the desperation or the worry or the exhaustion or the caring, you know, that I care so much and I'm terrified of losing my partner. Instead of
Yeah.
expressing that, the anger comes forth, you know, like a big, thick wall, like a big force of thunder. And I say it's so sad, it's so tragic, because there's some lovely messages inside your pain that deserve to be heard, but no one gets to hear them.
Yeah. How can you keep in balance with those anger messages? Actually, I think if it's the angry child, it's okay, or it's the easiest, I think. But if you see if it's the overcompensator, if it's the angry protector, how can you stay still? What's your inner strategies dealing with, or setting limit strategies with those kind of?
Yeah. It's very, you know, Alp, it's very similar to the work that I talk about with narcissists. I think even the angry child for some of my supervisees can be difficult, because the angry child can get angry right at you.
Yeah.
You know, get angry at you, and you're, you know, you're working so hard with this patient who is really very fragile, has had a lot of pain and trauma in their life. And, you know, you're giving a lot of extra time and extra care, because that's what we do with those types of patients. And then all of a sudden, you know, you have to have, let's say, a medical procedure, or you're going on vacation, and they're so angry with you, and they'll say, you never care about me. You never, ever care about me.
Yeah.
You only care about the money, and you only care about other people. You don't care about me.
Yeah,
You know, and
it reminds me. It reminds me something. Yeah, yeah.
It could be. This could be a little. You know, this could be a very, very young child that they're experiencing, because the abandonment is there, and can't tolerate the disconnection in their attachment to you. So they get desperate and they get angry, like a little child would do. You know, I hate you, Mommy. I hope you don't come back from work because I hate you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know, a good parent will say, I know, honey, I know it's upsetting, but I love you, and I'll see you when I get home. I don't care. I know, but I care, and it's okay that you're upset. It's a good parent will validate the feelings, and eventually, as the child grows, we learn to apply discipline. We help them to be able to express their anger in ways that don't take away the rights of others. But when you're doing this with a grown-up person, with an adult, the best strategy is really to have some way to see the child behind the face of the adult. You know me, you know, I talk about photographs. I'm a big user of little photographs of the child, because that keeps me from getting triggered. That keeps me from taking it personally. If I can look at the little face in the photograph, then I remember. And it's also easier to set limits when I remember that there's still something very important behind this anger. So I can say, you know, come on, Joe, knock it off. Stop it. What are you doing? Don't talk to me like that. We have an agreement. You're not going to do that. And besides, I know there's something important there, because you're so this is so intense. There has to be something really important that you're trying to tell me.
Yeah.
But don't tell me like that, because I can't hear you when you talk to me like that. And even though I understand you, other people out there in the world who don't know you and aren't trained to know you, they're just going to think that, you're out of control, or that you're really nasty. And they won't know that there's a really important message that needs to be expressed, a really important feeling that you're having. So sometimes the little photograph in front of me, and keeping my own vulnerable self protected. So I don't have my own little 5-year-old Wendy sitting in the chair. I have to make sure that that part of me is safe.
Yeah. Then you also trust your healthy adult side. Your healthy adult side will protect you from that angry child, also that your vulnerable child. And also your adult side will protect the angry child of the client from your angry child of yours.
Yes, exactly. That's right. Because when our healthy adult is there, right, our healthy adult can remind us that, you're okay, and I've got this, and I can take care of this patient. This is my job, not your job, and it's all right. I understand. And it's like we sort of we send ourselves back out to the playground. We tuck ourselves back into bed. We put ourselves in a little safe place so that the grown-up can take care of the patient who needs us right now. Because we can't do it as a child. This is the same thing we're trying to do for our patients, is help them to see that they can't possibly make the most important decisions about their relationships, their work, their families, when they're operating in this mode where they're so vulnerable. And they need their healthy adult, and they need us as a healthy adult to help them with that.
It's like sometimes it's like talking with two chats at the same time, one of yours and one of the clients.
When you work with couples, that's exactly what it looks like when they're in conflict. It's like you can see two little children, fighting with each other, fighting for their rights. But they don't see two little children. They see each other as two people, like enemies, trying to hurt each other.
And maybe with some couple guys from Schema Therapy, we can talk that also.
Yes.
In the future, when we don't have storm, but the connection is nice here now. It's okay for maybe 15 minutes. So I think you told your limit setting techniques, I think, because I really understand it nice, and it will help me a lot. I hope it will help the viewers also. Do you think, what can we talk about more about angry modes, angry clients?
Well, I think some of the most important things when it comes to angry modes is, I would say it like this, that it's that same idea of two processes happening at once. So we have patients who are humans, we are humans, we're all human, right? The patient is getting activated and they don't even know it. And they automatically become they'll either switch into their angry child mode, they'll switch into maybe an angry protector, an overcompensating, controlling bully. They can go into, or they might be angry at themselves in that punitive parent mode. One of the strategies that's very helpful when you're feeling frustrated with the anger of the angry protector, or the angry punitive parent that's hurting them, or even the angry controller, I find sometimes it's helpful to let them see my frustration, to let them see that I'm getting impatient, because very often my narcissist will say, "Oh, so you're upset with me? You're frustrated with me?" And it's not hard to tell the truth when you can tell a truth that protects them. So if I say, "Well, yes, I'm very frustrated with the part of you that's so mean to you, it hurts you. I'm always frustrated with the part of you that blocks me from you, from helping you, that big nasty wall." That angry controller, I hate to see you hurting yourself. It's very hard to watch that part of you that I care about take so much abuse from this part of you that's so critical. And I would like to just put it outside. So yes, I'm frustrated,
Yeah.
but not with the part of you that's suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I would never be frustrated with the part of you that's suffering. I'm upset because there's a part of you that hurts you.
Yeah, yeah.
And it tries to hurt me too, but I'm okay, you know? I can feel it, but I'm okay. I feel it on behalf of the other people out there too in the world that you deal with that are feeling it. So it's a lot of sort of watching ourselves, watching them, and being really honest about the experience that you're having, but remaining sturdy. You know, I'm not going to sit there and say, oh my God, your anger is making me so upset I'm going to fall apart.
Yeah.
That would be a problem. That would be an issue for supervision.
Yeah.
But I can be honest enough to say that, you know, your anger makes me want to push my chair back a little bit, you know, because I'm human, and it's natural to have sort of a, you know, a startled reaction if someone suddenly yells or says something threatening to you, to a partner, if they're retelling a story about someone else. It's natural to, you know, kind of jump back.
Yeah.
And sometimes one of my strategies that I use that has been really helpful is I just get very quiet. And I might say, you know, if they're in one of the angry adult modes, I might say, let me think about this because I'm feeling a little triggered right now. So let me take a moment and just see what's going on with me, because it's probably something important if I'm getting triggered. And then I sit with myself and I use that time, you know, to remember their child, to remember their story, to put my own little vulnerable self in a safe place. And then I can come back and just say, okay, I'm back. And they'll often ask, you know, so what was it? What happened? Why did you get triggered? And, you know, you can self-disclose without having to tell your life story, because that's not relevant. What's relevant is to say something to them that has to do with their treatment goals. And I can say, you know, Joe, I was just about to give in to your demand. And I stopped to realize that I was just getting triggered. And if I do that, I'm not helping you.
Yeah.
It's just like everyone else does that, and then they resent you. And then you really never learn the importance of being able to be a little uncomfortable, you know, in your skin. Or I was ready to yell back at you, and that wouldn't be helpful. Then we'd both just be fighting with each other.
Yeah.
Or I was ready to just change the subject and avoid this completely.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be helpful, because this is a really important moment
Yeah.
that we're having in our relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good strategy. Yeah. Wendy, thank you very much. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad you were able to get that, and I'm glad it's helpful.
Actually, it's really maybe I learned I heard this maybe one more time from you, but maybe some people can be hearing it first time. Do we have any question at Twitter, or do you know? I'm asking my friends if you have any question from social media. Well, I think not yet. Okay, not yet. Maybe they are getting used to our Schema TV. So, it looks like we talk a lot about angry modes, and I'm trying my chance to open my webcam for you because you are all alone there.
Thanks, Al. There you are.
Okay.
Good to see you.
And I hope it works. So,
just one more thing I could say quickly about the angry modes that might be helpful, and that is that there's another part to anger that therapists will sometimes avoid, because the patient, if they have subjugation issues or self-sacrifice issues, they may not express their anger. They may just, you know, they give in, they tell you what they're going to do, what they're going to do, and then they're passive aggressive and they don't come to the next session, or they come in late, or they say yes and they're very polite and they're very mechanical in the imagery, but they're not really emotional. And if you ask them, are you a little angry with me?
Yeah.
Do you feel like I'm pushing too hard? Do you feel frustrated with me? Do you feel like I'm getting this right or getting it wrong? Does it feel like I'm trying to tell you what to do? Most therapists don't want to invite anger in the room, or frustration, or negativity, or criticism. And sometimes not sometimes, if you know you have a patient who's grown up, keeping their anger very inhibited,
Mm-hmm.
then we know we have to help them let it out. It's a need.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to correct that emotional experience by providing a safe space where they can experience it. But it's easy to say, well, it's just an easy patient, and not ask the question.
Yeah.
And I would urge, anyone listening, if you're thinking about really getting enduring and lasting change, and you want to meet the needs, then sometimes you have to insist on pushing for the patient to feel free to get angry with you or frustrated with you.
Yeah. So we don't get enough with the present anger. Also, we look for hidden anger in the treatment. What a strange business.
I ask my supervisee sometimes, well, this is a patient who has been so inhibited and subjugated and enmeshed their whole life. Don't they ever get angry with you or upset with you? I mean, I would think that, by now, maybe, have you asked them about whether they feel like they could ever tell you if they're annoyed with you? I say, no, this is just a really good patient. It's a really easy patient and really cooperative. And well, that's interesting. And of course, if they're subjugated or self-sacrificing, they would seem very nice and very cooperative. They just do everything you tell them to do. But they never really get deep into the feelings or really down into those needs if they can't ever feel a little annoyed with you.
How do you word it? How do you trigger their anger if it's hidden very deep?
I think you just ask. It'd be like if I were saying to you, if you were my patient, Alp, and you were someone who had, a lot of self-sacrifice in your life, and you were a really good boy. You always did what you were supposed to do because let's say you had parents who were very depressed and frightening and angry. And I know this about you from your story, but you're so pleasant with me. You're always do everything I tell you to do. And then I ask you, do you ever feel angry with me?
Okay.
And you say, no, I like you. You help me. And I say, are you sure there isn't maybe some part of you just once in a while that might feel like, God, Wendy, you're pushing me too much. I don't like it, or you don't agree with that, or I wish you would stop talking now, or something. And just a little bit, it would be really okay, Alp, if you felt like that. So we have to persist. We have to make room. We have to kind of like lay out the red carpet and say, it's okay to let that part of you come out with me. This is a safe place. I don't mind. I can hear that. I'll tell you if it hurts my feelings. I promise.
Unbelievable. Because it's the most avoiding emotion that we avoid. Okay.
And our patients will try to avoid it too, the ones that have been trained how to do that.
But we have to look for it like a treasure, the anger.
Yes.
Yes, and when we talk about the hidden anger also, passive-aggressive anger, okay, it looks like we have a question. Can I ask it to you, Wendy?
Yeah, please.
How can we communicate and invite back a dropout patient because of their anger protector mode? One of my friends, Sevinch, asks from Rotterdam, Holland. She's in Holland now. How can we communicate and invite back a dropout patient because of the anger protector mode? The question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Thank you for that. Someone who has actually dropped out of the therapy is what I think the question is referring to. I think that if we typically would reach out to the patient anyway just to check in if they've just disappeared. But if this is a patient who's so angry they've just walked out of therapy and said, I'm done with this, I'm not doing this stupid emotional work. I don't see how it helps. How is it going to help to go back to my childhood? You can't change anything, this type of patient. And they disappear from therapy. I often encourage therapists, I've done this myself, to reach out and to say, look, I understand it's confusing, and I understand also that it can be, although you might not agree, scary. I can see why there might seem like there's no value in looking into those deep, dark places. But you know, the thing is, you've never had anyone just help you to hold the pain, anyone to just honor your story in that deep felt way. And there is a lot of power in the imagination, and a lot of power in sitting with someone who cares about you when you're swimming in the darkness, you know. And I'd like to be that person for you as much as I can if you would like to reconsider. So don't be afraid because you were angry. Your anger is okay with me. I can help you with that. We can understand this part of you that is just trying to protect you. And unfortunately, it's depriving you of an opportunity to have maybe a really powerful and helpful experience. So I hope you'll come back. You know, it's just telling the truth. Again, it's a schema therapy. The beauty of schema therapy is it's a very interesting, elegant, complex model, but it also asks us to be real. And I think that we look for more than we need to. We just need to look for real and truth. So the question I would put out there very often is, how comfortable are you as a therapist, you know, anyone else who's having this struggle with anger, how comfortable are you as a therapist just being real about, you know, how comfortable are you with what you believe in about, you know, getting at emotions and focusing the work on the emotions and correcting the emotional experience? Do you have a way of helping the patient to feel comfortable and confident in your mission? Because if you don't feel comfortable and they get angry, you'll back down. If you're doubting yourself already, their anger is just going to push you further away. But if you know that this is a healing process and you can help them, I'll look them in the eye and say, I know you're upset with me. I know this part of you, this mode, is trying to protect you, but it's not protecting you.
Yeah.
It's not protecting you. It's depriving you. I can help you with this, but we have to let go of this mode. It's not your fault. I'm not blaming you. I'm telling you this is an opportunity. If you want to take the responsibility to try and do it, to make this difference, I'll help you through it. But you have to say it with a lot of credibility, you know, a lot of reassurance. And not to sell it, but really to help, you know, to really encourage them, because there's so much fear behind that angry protector.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it will be a very lucky day of that client if he or she meets you. Unbelievable, yeah. Good wordings. I will steal them.
Thank you, Alf. You're welcome to.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Wendy, it's a great pleasure to talk with you about this very important subject. But I think we have to end now for our first meeting, if it's okay for you.
I don't hear you right now, Alf.
You don't? Okay. Maybe I close my camera. Can I close my camera?
Okay.
Okay. I'm closing my camera. Okay.
There you are.
You hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, it just dropped out for a second. But
Okay.
you are. Can I say a few words to you before you go on to the end of our program today?
Okay.
I just thank you very much. You know, as the former president of the ISST, where you served as vice president of the ISST and put on the fabulous conference for all of us in Istanbul last year, which, you know, everyone is still feeling very happy and unforgettable fun night on the boat cruise.
Yeah.
And for anyone listening who was part of that exciting experience, I know they all share my sentiments.
Yeah.
And you're a very special friend and a special colleague, and you've done so much for schema therapy in your part of the world, and I appreciate you, and I'm so happy to have a chance to say that in public to you out loud, and I want other people to know that, because your work has been really meaningful. You're a lovely person, and very talented in so many ways. So, you know, maybe one day you're going to play your musical instrument on Schema TV too for everybody. So thank you for having me, Alf. It's really been wonderful.
Okay.
And thank you for doing this, because you do this on your own time.
Yeah.
And that's
and you too.
Nice gift.
And
Very
you
nice
too.
gift for everyone.
Wendy, thank you very much. Yeah. I would like to show my team. Maybe I can, but if they like. Maybe I can use this camera. Yeah. This is our team now working.
Here they are. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone, for staying up late and helping us.
Yeah, thank you very much for being with us, and thank you for all those beautiful words. It's really embarrassing me. Maybe I'm ready enough.
Oops, I can't hear you again. I
Okay,
lost the sound.
okay. I close my camera now.
There you are. Okay,
Am
that's
I
better.
back again? Okay, okay. Thank you very much, Wendy, again, for the good words and for being with us here. The information you gave us is really important, and as you give it very smoothly, it looks like very easy, but in the treatment room, it takes years to
Yes, it does.
to
Yes.
dance with the anger and with your own anger. Personally, it was so hard for me. Still, I find some difficulty because and at least I have some clients to call, and thanks to Sevinç Göral from Rotterdam for the nice question, isn't it?
Thank you.
And I hope this channel lives and happens to be a platform for sharing information with the Schema Therapy people, clients and the therapists. So first announcement in our Schema TV, I want to announce Christoph Lou's workshop in Israel. If it's okay for you.
Yes,
There will be workshop in Israel, a workshop about schema therapy for children, adolescents, and parents. It will be on July 30th, and I hope I pronounce it right. Beit Yad Lebanim Rana, Israel. People can reach offer for that meeting. It will be in Israel at 30th July. And that was all now for Schema TV. We hope we make other meetings in the future together with other colleagues also. So thank you very much for joining us and sharing your information with us. Thank you very much, Wendy.
I see your smile.
Okay. Thank you very much. See you next time
Thanks,
then.
Al.
Bye bye.
See you.
Bye bye, Wendy.
everyone.
Bye bye.